This is Kelsey, owner of Huron Water Soap. Today I will be making apple tree soap with soap dough embeds. My soap dough's a little stiff because I forgot to add full water. So if you're making soap dough, remember, please add full water. It'll save you a lot of time. The colors I am using for the green is going to be Lettuce and Zucchini by Mad Micah's. I'm rolling out 2 different canes, and I'm going to be cutting them into 10 individual chunks to make my worms. I'm going to be hand sculpting them into worm shapes and adding eyes in the mouth. The color I'm using for all my soaps today are Firefly for the yellow and Trial by Fire for the red from Nurture Soap. As I said before, Lettuce and Zucchini by Mad Micah's for the green and Cocoa Powder for the brown. Trying to get his little head right. And the soap dough is not only hard, but it is also sticky, so it doesn't melt. Rolling out the little teeny eyes. There we go. And swoosh. Swoosh on the other side. That was not way too big. That's not the right shape. It's still too big. There we go. Happy little worm. I'm going to be making seeds to go inside the apple. I'm going to have 2 cut apples, which is basically like 1 apple cut in half, because it's 2 of them, and 1 whole apple. So for this, I'm making very, very thin canes of the brown, measuring it to length, and putting it on top of the white, which is going to be the flesh of the apple. Smooshing down the white. And you need a little bit more white going on the top. And closing it all together, and then we'll roll it up into the circle. Now I'm going to put the skin on. A whole bunch of red. And as flat as I can, because I don't want it to be too thick. I don't want it to be too thin either, then you'll see it. Last one. Roll it to join all those seams together. Measure it to make sure that I have enough for 2 long ones. Put it into my mold. There it is, my interior of my apple. I'm cutting off all the little ugly bits at the end. Join together so that they'll be the right length. Also, the seeds kind of got smushed together. Okay, now I'm making the whole apple, which is going to be a Macintosh apple, so I'm going to be adding some yellow to it. Make the Macintosh spots. Put one in the middle and close it up. One on the outside. Roll it all together into a circle. I only need one of these, so the other one I'm going to roll even smaller and it's going to end up in the tree. I'm going to use a tool here to make the top of the apple more apple shaped and not like a circle. It's an apple, it's not a circle. I won't. I'm going to make a big groove on the top and then I'm going to make a little groove on the bottom. And the little groove tool is really smushy, so it doesn't work well, so I have to use the other side. Alright, now I'm going to make the apple toppers. So I'm going to be just using a ball of red and a little bit of yellow to make spots. And join it all together. Nothing sticking out. I'm going to use a top to make a apple shape on the top and make a little hole for the stem. And I'm going to use some distilled water to attach the stem to the apple because it's going to be outside of the silk and it will fall off unless you glue them together with distilled water. I really should have gotten my tweezers. But that'll work. Now I'm making a tree. Measured it against my mold so I don't make it too big. And I'm making it tree shaped. Make it wider at the bottom and wider at the top. I'm using a tool to slice it twice across the top to make the branches. You have to do this carefully because you don't want to slice through the branch because then it's harder to mush back together because it's so thin. I'm also using a tool to help me spread that apart. There we go, there's the other branch. And there's my tree. Now I'm making the stems for my apple canes, rolling out the ground really, really thin, making it flat, and I'm going to be slicing the tops of these apple canes, make it hole for the stem, using distilled water again to glue them together. Okay, now we're at colorants. I'm using sky blue, alpine green, and savage garden, all by Nurture Soap. And I'm adding them into a cup and using 1 tablespoon per pound of oils for each one. I'm adding some of the liquid oils from my batch to disperse the colors. Using the heat transfer method to melt my oils and butters because it saves a lot of time. Once they're completely melted, I add my liquid oils and then I will stick on this to emulsion. No, not quite too much in yet. bit more. And there we go. Nice and emulsified. So I'm measuring out my first layer. My grass. Add a little bit of the soap batter into each of the cups and stir it in so you get as much of the green color out as you can. I'm going to stick blend this and then add the scent, which is Apple Harvest by Candle Science. And the scent does accelerate. Not a lot, doesn't rise, but it does make you work fast, which is probably good because these embeds are a little heavy and I don't want them to sink all the way to the bottom. Covering them up. I'm thinking that I don't have enough batter to cover them up because I completely forgot I didn't empty my jug. Pretty soon I'll remember. Hey, I remember. It's good because the last apple didn't ever get covered up. There we go. And I'm leaving the top there all nice and bumpy because it's supposed to be grass, so I don't want it level. I'm just stirring the blue. Looks a lot darker until you stir it up. It gets pretty light, which is good because it's sky. It's not supposed to be bright. I'm still blending this because it's going to be for a layer. Add the tree. I want it to be nice and thick so I can work with it. Of course, I got it all stuck onto my tree, so I have to clean that off. I'm adding divots on each side of the tree trunk for the dark green to go in as branches. I want this stuff to basically remain as fluid as possible because I want it to stick and fill in all of those little holes. So I'm just going to hand stir. I'm pouring it in slowly. Make sure I fill in all those gaps I made in the sky layer. And here come all my little apples. Some I made just red, some I made with the yellow and the red from the old bigger cane, and some just plain old yellow because I want lots of different old apples on my tree. Add the first layer, pour some green soap, add the second layer. Trying to make sure it doesn't all escape over the side of my mold. It's sticking up pretty good, so I'm going to pour the top up. And mold it into the top of the tree. And here come our embeds. Yeah, I marked the 1-inch measurements on the side of the mold earlier, so I know where to put all these little guys. Nominated ones. At first, I put all the apple embeds on so that the stems were sticking sideways, and then I'm like, that looks silly, so I made them so they went straight up. And here's my soap. Pretty soon I'm going to go close up. Ah, there we go. It's close up. And it is the next day, and my soap does not want to come out of this mold. It is stuck in there good. The overhang of the treetop just locked it in there really tight. So I'm using a spatula, and there goes the runny tail. Spatula's not used working on that side. I actually grabbed a pen cap to try and get the overhang off of there, but that didn't work, so I had to get out the big old palette knife. But that worked. And out comes the soap. A little bit of an air bubble there on the sides, but I cleaned that up with an end cut. There you go. And here we go, all lined up so none of my embeds get smushed and chopped in half. And the double places here. Keep them going. I gotta break them up a little bit. The soap is pretty darn sticky at this point still, because it's only been about 18 hours. So we don't want to separate. And there we go. And that is what I came up with. Pretty good apple tree. Very happy with this. Came out pretty much exactly how I wanted it to. So very excited. Thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed it. And here's some close-ups of my apples, and my worms, and my tree.